Why are the rings of Saturn disappearing? The solar system is home to some truly amazing phenomena, from blazing hot planets to giant balls of gas and dust floating in space. One of the most spectacular sights in our solar system is the ring planet Saturn. It is one of the most beautiful planets in our solar system. It is also one of the most mysterious. For years, scientists have been puzzled by the disappearing act of Saturn's rings. So, why are the rings of Saturn disappearing? In this video, we will discuss the types of rings, the latest theories about why the rings are disappearing, and what this means for the future of this iconic planet. So sit back, relax, and watch the video till the end. The Saturn rings are a series of concentric rings around the planet. They are made up of ice and dust particles that range in size from micrometers to meters. The rings are thought to be debris from Saturn's moons and comets that have broken up over time. There are three main rings: the A ring, the B ring, and the C ring. The A ring is the widest and is made up of two parts, the inner and outer A ring. The B ring is the darkest and is made up of mostly dust particles. The C ring is the thinnest and is also made up of dust particles. The rings are not always visible from Earth. When they are, they appear as a bright, shining band around Saturn. The A ring is the largest and outermost of Saturn's rings. The A ring is thought to be formed by particles that were once part of the B ring that broke off due to gravitational interactions with Saturn's moons. The B ring of Saturn is one of the most fascinating and mysterious features of the planet. This ring is made up of tiny particles of ice and dust that orbit Saturn at high speeds. The particles in the B ring are also very dark, which makes them difficult to see from Earth. Researchers have been studying the B ring for many years, but there is still much that we do not understand about it. For example, we do not know why the particles in the B ring are so dark, or why they orbit Saturn at such high speeds. However, continued research may one day help us to unlock the secrets of the B ring and to understand more about it. The C ring of Saturn is one of the most fascinating and beautiful features of our solar system. This ring reflects sunlight, creating a brilliant and ethereal display. It is also one of the most enigmatic features of this planet. Scientists have long puzzled over its strange structure and odd behavior. Now let's talk about the latest theories about why the rings are disappearing. One theory is that the rings are made up of small particles that are constantly being bombarded by micrometeoroids. Over time, these impacts cause the particles to break down, slowly but surely eroding the rings. Another theory suggests that the rings are being pulled into Saturn by the planet's gravitational field. As the particles making up the rings fall closer to Saturn, they eventually get pulled into the planet itself, thinning out the rings. The rings of Saturn don't remain there forever. They are actually disappearing. Every year, the rings lose material. The tiny, dusty pieces of ring matter are disturbed by incoming micrometeorites and solar radiation, which electrifies them. The suddenly altered particles start spinning along the magnetic field lines of Saturn after becoming tuned to them. When the particles approach Saturn's atmosphere too closely, gravity pulls them in and causes them to vaporize in the planet's clouds. This phenomenon, known as ring rain by astronomers, will eventually eliminate the distinguishing feature that, in our eyes, makes Saturn Saturn. Present time? According to James O'Donoghue, a planetary scientist with JAXA, Japan's space agency, this is us looking at Saturn's rings in their heyday. A magnificent sight that, although it appears unchanging from our vantage point, is ultimately fleeting. It might be helpful to be aware that the process will take some time, according to O'Donoghue and other researchers. The rings will vanish in about 300 million years. There is still plenty of time for people on Earth to admire and learn about Saturn's rings. Because astronomers still don't fully understand these bands, including how Saturn acquired them in the first place, even though they are aware that the rings are fading. Saturn's rings have dazzled observers for centuries, but we got up close and personal with them for the first time in the early 1980s, when NASA's Voyager spacecraft flew by on its grand tour of the outer planets. Scientists suspected that the rings formed alongside Saturn around 4.6 billion years ago, when the solar system was young and raucous. With rocky objects flying around everywhere back then, a new planet could easily capture some, sling them around its center, and let gravity flatten them. The flyby of Voyager, on the other hand, suggested a different story. The observations captured the rings in greater detail than ever before, revealing that the system lacked the mass predicted by researchers, implying that they couldn't be billions of years old. The rings had to be much younger, possibly between 10 and 100 million years old. Those results were completely perplexing and bizarre, told by Jeff Cousy, a NASA research scientist and planetary ring expert. Saturn's ring system appeared to be as old as the solar system itself. Now it appeared that the rings did not exist when dinosaurs roamed the Earth. The solar system had calmed down by then. So where had Saturn obtained the raw material? The probability of an event forming the rings now, that is, within the last 100 million years or so, in astronomer speak, is very unlikely. Paul Estrada, a NASA research scientist who has studied Saturn's rings for years, said even so, new evidence supports this hypothesis. In 2017, the NASA Cassini spacecraft skimmed past Saturn's rings while transmitting as much data as it could before being destroyed by the planet's atmosphere. Its final measurements confirmed what the Voyager missions had discovered. The rings were not large enough to be ancient. The scientific community has yet to reach an agreement on the origin story of Saturn's rings. If the rings are indeed cosmetically young, scientists believe they formed when one of Saturn's older moons drew too close and was shredded to bits. The moon was most likely small, like our moon, according to O'Donoghue, and could be used to create thousands of ring systems similar to Saturn's. The story of Saturn's rings serves as a reminder that our solar system's worlds, no matter how still and static they appear from here, are dynamic places with dramatic histories of their own. We believe that the universe out there is this kind of crystal and never-changing thing. As opposed to this, where we live, where everything is chaotic and messy and changing all the time, Cousy said. Saturn's rings appear solid from a distance, like a ledge you could swing your legs over. They are, however, anything but. Those particles are jostling and bumping into each other slowly. Linda Spilker, a planetary scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and a Cassini mission collaborator, said, "There are wakes left by tiny moons. We could measure the amount of ring material flowing into the planet," Cassini said as she dived between Saturn and the rings. The Voyager mission, on which Spilker also worked, had discovered some evidence of ring material leaking into Saturn. But with Cassini, astronomers could thoroughly investigate the phenomenon and make the most accurate predictions about how long the rings would remain. The leading theories suggest that the rings are slowly being absorbed into the planet's atmosphere, or being pulled away by the planet's gravity. The disappearance of the rings is a big mystery, and it is not yet clear what this means for the future of Saturn. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when the next video is released. We would love to hear what you think about this theory in the comments below.